Our regular board meeting. Good to see everyone after a wonderful weekend of homecoming events. I want to first start the meeting off by saying just simply thank you. Mr. Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Vice President Bowman.
Present.
Treasurer David Smith.
Present.
President Garrett.
Present.
I'm here. Trustee Hannah.
Present.
Trustee Terry.
Present.
And Trustee Turpin. Sir, you have a quorum.
All right, awesome. Thank you. You want to move to a pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Want to move down to the agenda board. You have a sample of the amended agenda. I would like to add to the agenda under consent agenda for your appeal response under E. We're going to remove from the agenda, from under regular working agenda, general counsel human resource item, the proposed Pontiac Education Association agreement. And we're going to remove that from the working agenda as well as the voting to be voted upon as well. Any questions, comments, concerns of those removals? Okay, thank you. Hearing none, roll call, please.
This is the motion to amend the agenda.
To amend it, yes.
Yes, so you need a motion in the support.
So moved. Support.
Okay, moved by Trustee Hannah, supported by Trustee Terry. Questions, comments, or concerns? Yes, ma'am.
So we have some supporting documents
You got it?
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
We have some supporting document in the packet, and I think there's an error in the resolutions because I didn't vote for either one of them. I didn't go vote yes.
Okay, I don't, make it plain. What do you,
Make it
You
plain
said
is that
didn't-
document, I did not vote. I didn't approve either. I think we voted on the resolution. We combined the resolutions, and I didn't vote for either one of them.
correct, but the board did.
So I don't, but my name is down here as though I voted. I didn't vote for it.
No, it's-
What was the resolution?
Okay.
Oh, you saw amend the minutes?
No, I got
Go
it.
ahead.
As a Board of Education, we vote as a whole.
But the
If-
record should, if you go back to the minutes, everybody has a record of their
Can I,
vote.
can I?
No,
explain?
you
Okay.
can't do it that way.
Okay.
If I took a vote, it has to be displayed somewhere in the minutes that I voted no. And that document has to transfer to this, because this misrepresents who I am. I did not vote yes for either one of them.
Duly noted.
No, I did.
It is, let me finish.
And if I'm mistaken, I'll read the minutes when I get
Okay.
home. And
Well,
I
the minutes
just
have
got-
reflected the minutes have reflected at the time that you voted. The minutes have reflected as you voiced your opinion of your opposition to that resolution. It was brought to the board as a whole, not as an individual resolution. You sit as a board of trustees. That's how we operate, by resolution. And so therefore, your opposition to the resolution was duly noted in the minutes, but however, the board as a whole passed the resolution. So as you being a counted member of this board, the only person who can remove you from the board is the community. And since you're still here, then that's a representation of the community, not the board members as individuals.
I'll just get the tape from Mr. Cologne, and then I'll have a statement to represent who I am. I didn't vote for either one of them, and I can't be
That's-
included in that because I
And
voted no.
that is duly
Okay,
That is
I'm
duly
fine.
noted that you
I'm
did not
fine.
vote for any one of them,
Okay,
but we don't vote as individuals when we pass something from this diocese as a whole. And the majority of the board voted to support the resolution.
everybody vote matters, so I want the record.
And your
to
vote does
reflect.
matter.
Okay, so,
And you did
I
not
will
support the
proceed with this
resolution.
at a later date. Thank you.
Okay, all
I
right,
won't take
thank
a
you.
bit more time.
Any other questions about, or any thoughts around your responsibility as a board, as an individual, or as a whole? Any questions that I can answer right now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the history shows that anyone who has question, concerns, or comments is given the opportunity to speak.
Yes. But
Secondly, your vote by the secretary is recorded, thus placed into minutes as a yay or a nay, correct?
correct.
So even if there's a 4-3 vote in favor of that proposal or that issue is passed,
Correct.
what's the concern?
Okay. Correct. So, is that yes?
I just leave it at
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns to responsibilities as individuals or a board? Okay. Hearing none. The motion was passed by Trustee Hannah, supported by Trustee Terry, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. To supporting the motion to approve the amended or adding to the amended agenda and taking away. Roll call, please.
Treasurer Davis Smith,
Yes.
President Gary.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin,
No,
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Sir, that passed 6-1.
Thank you. The board passed the resolution or passed the motion to amend the agenda.
Correct.
Need a motion on the floor to approve the amended
So
agenda.
moved.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Gross, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns?
This is to approve the agenda.
The approve the amended agenda. Yes, sir.
President Gary.
Here, yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin,
no,
VP Bowman,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
Sir, to approve the amended agenda passed 6-1.
All right, awesome. We're going to move down to awards, recognitions. Seeing any, we're going to move down to recognitions of elected officials. Any elected officials in the audience? Okay. For those elected officials who are at home, hello. And to the 6 elected officials around this table, good evening. How y'all doing? Okay, all right. We still got some smiles around here.
Yeah, we good, man.
We got happy meetings only. So we're going to move down to consent agenda. Roll call, Mr. Secretary.
Approve the consent agenda.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin,
Yes.
VP Bowman,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Gary.
Yes.
To approve consent agenda has passed 7-0.
Thank you. We're going to move down to information from the superintendent administration and superintendent report. And just for the audience and those viewing at home, we're going to make this an educational moment. Consent agenda is items that we have placed under the consent agenda. It doesn't require a motion. It's just a vote from the board. It's items such as have to do with personnel processes and things of that nature.
Correct.
If you would like to see some of those things, you can contact a meeting with our superintendent or meet with our general counsel. Okay. Any questions about that? Hearing none. Thank you. We'll move down to superintendent. Sue, it's your meeting. How you doing, ma'am?
Great. We are excited whenever we can recognize the work that this board does outside of the dais of the actual 7 trustees and the local work that must be done within the district. Our board president was recently appointed to directors of the National School Board Association, as well as forthcoming being the chair of CUBE, which is the Council of Urban Boards of Education. The reason why these platforms are so important for our district as a whole, as well as representing our voice in the state of Michigan, is because he has now taken a seat on the national level to discuss education. And so it is not often that you see an African American holding a seat of this nature, as well as being able to speak in terms of who we serve in our community. So I want to take this moment to commend our board president for going national with having a voice and sitting at the table where not all were welcome, but now being able to talk about the work that Pontiac School District is doing and to represent the students that resemble us across the nation. Thank you for your service,
Thank you.
and
ma'am.
we commend you for all you are doing for education.
Man.
Can we say something?
Yeah, you definitely. Yes,
You know what? I just want to
Trustee
say,
Gross.
I just want to say, Soup summed it up in that, but here's the thing. Gotcha, Frank. However long your term is, I truly believe that you will leave your mark there. And that's a mark for Pontiac. And it says what we're doing. And that's a great thing because it's never been done before. And you being the trailblazer you are. And I appreciate your commitment because that just didn't come because of a pretty face. I had to throw something at that. But my friend, and I do call you friend for over 20-some years, your commitment to this community, your dedication to our students prior to your positions on the board, and I want to say I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep doing the great work.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. VP.
I want to thank you for representing our community well. You know, it's not every day that Pontiac is put on a national platform, and it's great to have a good representation from the community. So, good job.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I just want to say thank you. I would not even had the opportunity if the work didn't continue even when I was off the board. So Superintendent, thank you. To the trustees who stayed through everything that we had to go through, to the administration. I was out there flying around, going to urban districts, encouraging people, talking to platform, teaching board members when I wasn't sitting on the board, and telling them about Pontiac, showing them the things that we were doing. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that or even have the examples if you wasn't back home here doing the work. I always tell people you don't need a title to serve. You just need your experience and your time. And so I made a commitment over 20 years ago to stay with the school district, and no matter what, I'm going to see it through. So even when we were in our lowest of low, I always looked at us as being the highest of high. When I got to Pontiac, I was told of the history and the things that we did here as a district. And so I look at those particular things as my light when it seems like it's a little dark and things get a little bleak. So history is very important to me. And I'm one of those ones who want to leave a legacy for my grandchildren. I want to leave a legacy for my children, and also for those who don't have a father figure or don't have a mentor, or don't have anybody. I want somebody to look at me and say, he cared about our kids and he cared about me. And so I will not let you down. I will continue to represent Pontiac at this national level. The appointment is for 2 years, and the Q possibly appointment is for a year. But wherever I sit, Pontiac is with me. And if you're there with me, it doesn't matter who's in the room. That's pretty much all I need. So thank you. I appreciate the acknowledgement, but it's nothing without you guys in this community and the love. So I appreciate it. And thank you so much again for that. Okay, y'all got me on that one again. Okay, Superintendent, we're going to now talk about scorecard, updates in 2022 spring state assessment.
Thank you. This is our opportunity to update the community as well as the board as it relates to our state and local accountability scorecard and assessment, MSTEP. With that being said, there have been a lot of changes that have occurred over the last 2 years as it relates to assessments across the state. We all know that we went to a virtual platform where students were learning from home in very difficult times during the pandemic. It was a challenge for the district to quickly pivot and provide those educational tools and resources so that our students could learn at home. And I want to say we did a fantastic job making sure that our students had desks, resources, Chromebooks, internet, provided food daily for them. And this was a successful era for the Pontiac School District. Although we had many challenges as we saw regression with our local assessments as well as with our state assessments, we can continuously say that we were able to provide what was needed for our students to continue to be educated. I want to update the community on where we stand as it relates to the scorecard. There is an index scorecard that comes out every year. And for the last 5 years, we have seen consistent trajectory improving with our graduation rates as well as with our state assessment and local assessment. Unfortunately, when the pandemic hit us for 2-year virtual learning, we did see learning loss and delays when the students returned. With the decision of the state, they required all districts to assess students in 2021. As a state, they assessed about 70%. It was optional for students to take the assessment. We did assess as many students that we possibly could during that time, and we were recorded with what our proficiency was. We have just learned that now the scorecard, where we have significantly seen improvements around student growth, has been removed from the index scorecard. So it is solely proficiency, which is weighted now at 51%. The student growth piece was at 34% in previous years, where we gained a lot of our percentage points because we were showing gains with our students. Although we had old textbooks, staff revolving throughout the district, we still were showing gains with our assessment. Unfortunately, due to the decision at the state level and at the federal level, for next year and next year only, they are stating that it will come back on the index card in the following year in 23, 24, the growth component will be added back in. But unfortunately, the year that they are going to identify partnership schools, they have removed the growth progress from the formula. So now the proficiency in the index card will be 51% K through 5 students. And we'll break that down a little further with Dr. Echols' presentation. It also will be a portion of the 95% participation rate, which we have done well in that area over the years. EL progress will be 17.9% weighted in the index. SQSS will be 25%. Assessment participation, which is the 95%, will be 3.6. So as you can see, the actual proficiency rate will be at 51.8%, which will impact all districts across the state of Michigan. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Echols at this time.
Thank you, Superintendent. If you can just make sure. Just a slide.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent, and good evening, Superintendent, to our President Garrett, to our board members, community members, and staff members this evening. I want to thank you for allowing our curriculum and instruction team, a few of our members this evening, to present to you. First, Superintendent did review our index scorecard and value. We'll have 3 of our members to share this evening our scorecard in detail in those percentages, as well as the 95% participation that is also part of our accountability scorecard. We'll start with our data and assessment coordinator, who is Jennifer Dean. After she has shared the index scorecard and their value, she'll go into our state assessment data from the last spring 2021-22 school year, and along with previous data as well from previous years. After Ms. Dean, we'll have Stacy Jackson, who is our math and science supervisor. She'll go into our next steps for mathematics, both at the elementary levels, at the middle school levels, and also at the high school levels. And then last, we'll have Felicia Jeter, our literacy and social studies supervisor, who will discuss our next steps for literacy at elementary and middle school levels, and then the English language arts next steps at the high school level. This time, I'll turn it over to Jennifer Dean.
Good evening, board members, staff, and community members. So just to dig into this index value scores a little bit deeper, pull this off because I can't do it just standing here. Okay, so superintendent talked about some of the changes. If you look at the middle school and high school, there's not changes there because there is still growth data for middle school and high school students. For elementary, the kids who were in 5th grade last year they didn't have any previous test data because of the 2020 school year, state testing being canceled, and then 21, such a low percentage of students being tested across the state. So that's where that growth data was removed. So we have the 51.8% for proficiency, EL progress is 17.9%, school quality is 25%. School quality includes things like, do you offer fine arts? Do you offer, wouldn't be appropriate for elementary, but honors classes? Do you have media specialist? Those are some of the school quality success indicators. And then that participation rate counting is 3.6%. So having to have 95% of your students tested counts as 3.6%. On the next slide, there's a little bit more to that, so we'll go into that more. Middle school, we do still have the growth data, so we're looking at 37.78% of that score counting towards growth, 32.22 for proficiency, 11.11 for the EL progress, 15.56 for school quality, and 3.33 for participation. And then they don't have graduation rate at elementary or middle, so that 10% that the high school gets distributed into these other factors. So that's where those numbers look a little different between elementary, middle, and high school. And then at the high school level, we have the numbers for all the areas. So you can see, whereas growth used to be the biggest weight of that index card and the progress and gains that we were making here with our students, and even though they weren't proficient yet, we were doing a lot to get them the growth where they needed to be. So that was really in our favor to have that. We won't have that for the elementaries this year. Okay, so this is the participation and how proficiency is affected. So we all have to have 95% of our students tested in the state. So say a school has 300 students, 95% of that 300 would be 285. So we would be accountable for testing at least 285 of our students. Well, say a school only tests 200 students. 100 of those students were proficient, so that gives us a proficiency rate of 50%. However, 200 is not the 285 that we're required to have. So they're gonna get us there. So the state's going to say, you have to have that 95% accountability. We can't have you picking and choosing who you test and who you don't. So that 200 students, or the 100 students that were proficient, are divided by the total of the 285 that were supposed to be tested, and that gives us a new proficiency rate of 35%. So you can see, not getting all of our students tested could have a pretty profound impact on our proficiency.
If I may add to that, Jennifer, what that means clearly without the formula, any student that does not test is deemed non-proficient. That's what the formula basically states. So any student that does not test in a school, in a building, and they don't meet the 95% is deemed not proficient. And so that goes against the building.
Right, so they're not tested. They could be proficient, but they're not tested. The state's not going to give the benefit of the doubt. They are marked not proficient. Okay, and then this is how, when we get the index card, schools will be given, or could be given, designations. The first designation is the Comprehensive Support and Improvement, or CSI. These are the schools that are performing in the bottom 5%, or a high school with a graduation rate of less than 67%. Those schools are identified every 3 years. This fall is a new identification cycle. We should be getting news from the state. They'll be releasing the end of this month, beginning of next month. We determine supports or the partnership agreement, and then it's approved by MDE. After that 3-year cycle, MDE determines if we're released. For targeted support and improvement, Those are schools with any demographic group that is performing in the bottom 25%. So there's no partnership agreement attached to this. It's like an early warning system to let the school and the district know, you need to look at this group. You need to put supports in place for this group. And then the additional targeted support would be any school having a demographic performing like a CSI or a demographic performing in the bottom 5%. Those, again, are identified every 3 years with a school-approved plan by the district, so they don't have to go into partnership agreement, but the school does have to have a plan in place, the district approves it, and they still have to go through that process of being released by MDE at the end of the 3 years. Okay, so that was it for school accountability index card. Do you want to keep going?
Keep going, yes.
Oh, what happened here? There we go. Okay. So now we'll dig into what our data looked like this past year and going back to spring of 2018. So we have spring of 2018-19 before the pandemic, and then spring of 2021 and 2022 after the pandemic. And again, state testing was canceled in 2020, so we won't see that data. So for math, MSTEP math, grades 3 through 7 take this test. So we have our district overall. Spring of 2022 being 7% proficient for the district, LCAT 5%, Whitman 5%, Harrington 4%, Owen 6%, Rogers 15%, ITA 16%, ILA 6%, and some of my tags got cut off there, but that's Pontiac Middle School at 1%. When you look at IELA right now, you're only seeing 3 bars. In the spring of 2018, ILA was only, I believe, K through 2. We hadn't extended up to those upper grades yet, so we don't have MSTEP data for that group.
And if I may add to this slide, if you look at each one of the schools, and not to say that it's blaring and wonderful, but each one of those schools showed improvement during a pandemic from 21 to 22. So what you see is in 21, the district as a whole, coming off of a pandemic, went from 5 to 7%. Alcott went from 4 to 5%. The average of movement with an assessment in one full year is at least 3%. Whitman went from 3 to 5%. Harrington went from, was that 10 to 4?
Actually, it's 4 and 4. The
Okay,
numbers are
4
just
and 4.
overlap, but it's 4 and
Okay.
4. It was maintained.
Okay, Owen went from 3 to 6%. Rogers went from 9 to 15%. ITA had a slight drop, 29 to 26 to 16%. ILA went from 4 to 6, and then Pontiac Middle School went from 5 to 1. So majority of our schools did show some increases, which the average is 3% in one full academic year. And so what it shows is that our interventions that are being put in place at the school level that are targeted toward individualized deficiencies in math, the interventions are honing in and they're working. We just need to do it at a larger magnitude and make sure our students are showing up for school.
Right. And again, nothing glaring and nothing to make it okay. We did look at these similarities across the county and the state level, and we saw, some of the same similar drops in those areas as well across the county and the state.
I'm going to take a point of privilege for a second.
Mhm.
This is a board meeting of the board. So I'm going to take a point of privilege, right? And then board, you can fire me later. Stop having this. I don't like this. We got to explain percentages because some people feel like they haven't contributed to the downfall of some students, or people are feeling like we educate a certain demographic of students that show up, whether they reading or they can't, homes are destroyed or they're not, they are showing up with people not supporting them. So I'm gonna get this out the way right now in the start of this school year. We will not be putting our heads down or talking small because of 1%. The babies show up, the adults don't. And the board of education has not shown up for 4 years. And I'll add to that in my closing comments, but we will not hold our heads down because we do this work. I don't care what outside people say. I don't care what everybody has going on. That's where they go. We can choose. We're professionals. We can choose to be anywhere else, but we choose to be here. And if you choose to be here and you want to be here, you're going to be proud of who you educate. And you're going to stop this small talking as if we somehow are a disease or something. We understand what they come up against. And if somebody don't have the empathy or compassion about that, then they are not on our team and they are not on our side. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Are we absolutely clear? So when you give that presentation, you give that presentation like your life depends on it because these kids' lives depend on it. It's hard work. And I know we got our nice suits and our nice cars and all the other kind of stuff and these national awards and all that. That don't mean nothing. If you can't move from this dais or move out of that audience or move from up that podium and get in that classroom and teach a kid or go into the hallways and volunteer, we have problems in our community. Yes. But I was one of the ones that couldn't read. And I'm the president of this school board. And we will not talk small about our babies. We will not talk about small about the people who are showing up. We will educate them to the best that we can. And those who can't and won't, then they won't be here. Thank you, board, for giving me that point of privilege. Like I said, you can fire me later. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Okay, so now we have a breakdown of all of the grade levels district-wide. So looking at third grade, ending with spring of 2022, we're at 10% proficiency. Fourth grade, 11% proficiency. Fifth grade, 5% proficiency. Sixth grade, 4% proficiency. And seventh grade, 4% proficiency. And really going back to what you said, all these kids that come in with these challenges, that's these guys right here. And look at them.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to highlight that.
Jennifer, you don't have to walk through all of that. They can read. But yeah, they don't have to walk through all of the details with the demographics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The information is provided.
Yeah, it will be on the website.
It's on the website. We've gone through that. Thought I was loud enough.
Mm-hmm. That's
we
just the
could-
demographic
It's
piece.
just a different. Can we fast forward? And I don't want us to. We're not making any excuses,
No.
and I don't want it to appear that way. We go through this we've done this, and we see the numbers, and we've seen some improvements, and we've seen where we need more improvements in specific areas. We're aware of that, and you have probably another half an hour of charts and demographics that are showing the basic same thing in the various areas: mathematics, English, ELA, and mine is if we can get to what we can do, solutions,
Absolutely.
and we don't need the charts. Let's get to the point in this presentation on our solutions and what we're doing now to improve the numbers where we are. That's my recommendation as a board member. And I'm sorry I took that point of privilege. Fire me later. But I don't think this is necessary. If we can get right to where we need to be to talk about what we're doing now to get better improvements, because we're aware of our numbers.
And I think
You
if
agree?
we can just go,
You agree?
if I can ask the trustees, if
Board,
we
you
can
agree?
go through English language arts just for the schools and the grades, and then the demographics, you can, I mean, ELA, I want the community to be able to know where we are and the supports that we need as we move forward.
Okay. And
If that's okay.
I got it.
I need to say something to that. I'm not disagreeing.
Okay, I see your hand. So let's.
Doggone it, if they're interested, get involved. Take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Come down to the meetings. Go on the websites.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying, Sue. I hear you. But if An interested parent in their child's education will find every means, because I'm going to say this to you. Not every parent in the community is looking at this.
Right.
Okay. So we're gonna have a board meeting. Thank God. Trustee Turpin.
So I know everybody is not looking at this, but I think when we do our presentation, we should give all the facts. And that way they know what we know. And so that's just my personal opinion. No one has to agree with me, but I would like to respect the community enough to give them all the facts. And if we pick and choose what we want to share with them, that's not right. You share it all, the good, bad, and the ugly, because these are our citizens, these are our parents. So, I know I'm going to be outvoted, but I just want to go on record and say, if you're doing a presentation, give it all, the good, bad, and the ugly. And then you ask the community to help you to do better about our kids. Because this is not about us as an adults. We got to have the courage to be able to sit up here and listen to the facts. We say we respect the community, respect our parents, and we need to stop bashing our parents. Because guess what? I was at a meeting one day, and the facilitator said this, and I remember this. If you don't respect the parents, how can you respect the kids that sit in front of you every day? So I just want to go on record and say I've been on the board for 12 years, and we've never, ever nitpicked a report. We've always given everything, all the data, all of it. So if you choose not to, that's fine. But I'll tell you what, it is online, and it's sometimes very difficult to navigate between it. But I will tell the community this: if you want to get actual numbers, go on the line and not percentages. They will actually tell you exactly how many kids are proficient, those who are not, will tell you how many suspensions we have, will tell you how many at-risk kids we have, what our absenteeism rate is. And all this goes into helping kids and the community to understand that we're not in this alone. And so that's my personal opinion. I don't need anyone to agree with me on it. I just have a right to say how I feel about it. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So with that being said, the decision will be made to continue along with the presentation. But I'm so glad Trustee Turpin brought up how we need to be open and honest about what we do and how we do business. And believe me, after this presentation, I'm going to be so open and honest about the board's responsibility as a group and individuals of how we contribute to the failing efforts of our students. Continue, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so you can take a quick look here at our demographic groups. And I think Cynthia just. We also have our PSAT and SAT math. So students in 8th grade and 11th grade, 8th grade takes the PSAT, 11th grade takes the SAT. We have our data broken down by the district as a whole for 8th grade, as well as the 8th graders at ITA and the 8th graders at Pontiac Middle School, the district as a whole for 11th grade, and then broken down for ITA 11th grade and Pontiac High School 11th grade. And then we have Pontiac Middle School and ITA together here for the demographic groups, as well as SAT, so those 11th graders. And looking at ELA. So going back to MSTEP, that's grades 3 through 7, starting with spring of 2018 and 19, prior to the pandemic, 2021, 2022, after the pandemic, knowing all of our challenges our students have faced, still coming in with this. So we have district overall of 12. We have some schools that exceeded that average. We have some schools that still made gains. And then again, broken down by grade level for grades 3 through 7. Our demographic groups. and looking at PSAT, SAT. So for English language arts, the PSAT and SAT is a test called evidence-based reading and writing. So we'll see that EBRW. That's evidence-based reading and writing for English language arts. That's the name of the test that they take. So we have our district overall for 8th grade at 23%, our district overall at 11th grade for 17%, and then a breakdown of how each school performed. And then again, for 8th grade, the breakdown of demographic groups. And 11th grade, the breakdown of demographic groups. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Stacy Jackson for next steps for math. Do you want to hold this or you want to hear?
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go over now the interventions, what we do for core instruction, as well as the interventions that we're putting in place for elementary, middle, and high school math. At the elementary level, we use Everyday Mathematics 4 as our core resource. Everyday Mathematics 4 has multiple differentiated supports throughout the curriculum resource. Along with that, we also use iReady as an intervention. The iReady lessons come in two forms. One is the personalized instruction, which is the individual per kid based on their diagnostic supports. And then there are the teacher toolbox lessons that support small group intervention that is teacher-led. This year, we've made some adjustments in mathematics to the amount of minutes that we are teaching our Tier 1 or our Everyday Mathematics 4 using that resource, which is our core resource. We have added an additional 15 minutes. So first grade through fifth grade now spend 75 minutes a day on core instruction in mathematics. And for Tier 2, we've also added an additional 10 minutes. So now there's 35 minutes of Tier 2 iReady support. That allows for teachers to have up to 2 groups where they can sit with students, and this is on a daily basis, and provide small group supports. For Tier 3, our core content intervention specialists support our students who need the most intense support. We use our Number Worlds intervention program, which is directly correlated to our Everyday Mathematics resource. The focus is on prioritized standards. My team, who all are very well skilled in analyzing data, as well as providing supports to students who need the most help, give assessments, not only using the Number Worlds supports, but also dig deep with our Forefront supports, which allows them to really hone in on what every student needs at that level, along with presenting them with a placement test to know, even inside the intervention resource, where students should be supported. For middle school, this year we adopted Envision Mathematics 6 through 8 Common Core. This is our first year of implementation. We are providing teachers with the supports of coaching as well as leadership, and implementing support through coaching, PLCs, and professional development. There is also on-demand training modules for teachers to access as they begin to learn this resource. We are planning a 3-year implementation, and we are in year 1 so that we don't overwhelm teachers, but are very focused intentionally on what components will be focused on in year 1, year 2, and year 3. For middle school math, again, we use iReady for grades 6 through 8, providing the same personalized instruction as well as the teacher toolbox lessons. And then at Tier 3, we use our Agile Accelerator. We have core content intervention teachers. Students are selected based on data. The Agile Mind resource is supported by a pacing guide that goes along with the Envision resource. There's job embedded professional development, meaning we provided coaches to teachers, as well as leadership support in implementing, monitoring, and supporting teachers as they use this resource. At the high school level, we continue to use big ideas for Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. We are now we're investigating other resources to take a look at if we need to go ahead and adopt a new resource. We've used big ideas for a good amount of time, and it's beyond its cycle when we should start considering other resources. So teachers, myself, and leadership has been taking a look into what supports would be best for our students, everything from culturally relevant instruction to assessments to alignment, to make some decisions on where we go with our next resource. At the 9th grade level, this year, we introduced iReady as a support for Tier 2. Again, we have the same supports that we're offering to our elementary and middle school with personalized instruction, which is based on their diagnostic. After their diagnostic, they're placed in lessons that support where they are at. And teachers also have access to teacher toolbox lessons for small group support. For Tier 3 at the high school level, we use Agile Minds Intensified Algebra. It is an algebra program that covers all the standards of Algebra 1. It is very much targeted and very much supports students in their different ways of learning. Again, we're providing coaching support for teachers and leadership, and implementation support for leadership so that they are able to coach teachers as they learn this resource and use this resource. Lastly, for our SAT preparation, all 11th grade students participate using the College Spring lessons. That resource provides weekly lessons, diagnostic assessments, job embedded support. And this year, we not only have virtual coaching, we also have in-person coaching to support teachers in how they deliver their lessons. It also has tools that gives us very good data so that we can determine our next steps. And then it's also very much topic aligned, scope and sequence goes along with our Tier 1 resource, Big Ideas. And next up, we'll have Ms. Jeter to discuss literacy and social studies.
Good evening. As she said, I'm Ms. Jeter. I will be discussing literacy and social studies. Starting with elementary. For Tier 1, which is the classroom teacher, we use Wit and Wisdom for grades K-5. Wit and Wisdom is a very high quality resource, as well as it promotes critical thinking within students. We also use Phonics First for grades K-3 only. This is to help with phonics skills, learning letter sounds, as well as spelling patterns. And for K-1 only, we use Haggerty, which is phonemic awareness. For Tier 2, which is also the classroom teacher, we use iReady, which is similar to what math uses for personalized instruction with the teacher toolbox lesson. But we also can use Phonics First. For example, if a student is struggling with phonics skills on layer 2, then the teacher will use layer 2 for that intervention piece as well. We also use Haggerty for grades 2 only as an intervention piece. Something new that we introduced is moving from word walls to sound walls to kind of reinforce those phonemic awareness skills, as well as those phonics skills for students. So as you tour some of the classrooms, you may see the sound walls up in the side of the K1 classrooms. 2nd grade and ESL and SPED will be getting there soon. For Tier 3, we use core interventionists. Our core intervention specialists use the level literacy intervention, which is similar to F&P, which gives focused lessons for students based on their needs. For middle school language arts, we also use Wit and Wisdom for 6th to 8th grade, which is the critical thinking piece, as well as the comprehension piece. For Tier 2, the classroom teacher uses iReady for personalized instruction, as well as the teacher toolbox lesson. For Tier 3 ELA, we use Adolescent Accelerated Reading Initiative. We have teachers that are trained on AARI that works with some of the students that are scoring at the lower end of iReady on specialized instruction. And then for the high school, which is their second year implementation, is my perspective. As a whole class, as our Tier 1 support. Tier 2, 9th grade use iReady. For Tier 3, we have ELA teachers that are trained on Adolescents Accelerated Reading Initiative, AARI, and SAT preparations for 11th grade using College Spring, which is similar to the math program. All of these teachers are also receiving extra coaching support for implementation and planning for all core curriculum pieces. We also will be beginning after-school tutoring programs beginning November 1st for all schools for Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, which will include 1 hour of math instruction as well as 1 hour of reading instruction and 30 minutes of enrichment daily for 3 to 4 days a week. And I will turn it over to Dr. Eccles.
If there are any questions we have for our team, I do want to also highlight tomorrow for our principals meeting, we will have host instructional rounds both at Harrington Elementary, which all of our elementary principals along with our administrators, central office administrators will meet there, host our elementary instructional round, visit classrooms, and visit those resources that we did discuss for our Tier 1 and Tier 2 students. Then our second instructional round will be hosted at Pontiac High School. We will visit those critical thinking classes, those intervention classes. So we'll have our coaches with us, leading and walking with our administrators and helping to support teaching and learning during that time on tomorrow.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Questions? Trustee Terry and Trustee Turpin.
First off, a good presentation. A lot of information that was provided, good data. I appreciate all that information. What I had a question was in regards to the next steps. There was a lot of information that was provided. Is that the next step that you're taking, or is that something that already incorporated? I guess I want to clarify when you say next steps based off the data that we just received. From what we're currently doing, what are we doing to make improvements? Not what we already are incorporating though.
During our, later on during our curriculum and instruction, bringing before you to approve the iReady 9th grade piece. Looking at our 8th grade data from last year for both ELA and for math, we saw that our students were low, but they did not utilize or maximize iReady for interventions. So knowing that we could take iReady and utilize it and pilot it at the high school, we've never done that before. So having them to complete those interventions, complete those personalized lessons is something new, and training those teachers to do that as well. In addition to that, our after-school program, starting that early. Last year, we started it in January, so now we're initiating and starting it in November, at least by November 1st. The other piece, Ms. Jeter did speak about the sound walls. Prior to that, they were letter cards. So we know that phonics is foundational skills, and it's very important for our students to build on those foundational skills at the elementary level as well. And then for math, for middle school math, we just adopted a new resource. We did pilot the resource at the end of the school year. We saw gains with iReady. So we're very confident this school year we'll have gains for mathematics middle school.
Okay. I just wanted that clarity because it was a lot of information that was provided, but I know this was not all what the next steps were. So I just wanted to clarify specifically what those next steps were. Okay. Thank you.
And it's a little bit of both. Some that we have seen success rates in, as you saw with individual schools, and what we saw gaps in the data, and then resources were provided, new resources that were needed to be adopted. So it's a little bit of both for the next steps, what we're currently doing, as well as taking it to the next level.
May I make a recommendation?
Mhm.
Maybe for the next presentation, kind of separate those. So we have a clear idea of what we currently doing and then what the next ones or new steps or
Mhm.
ideas we plan on incorporating
Mhm.
to enhance and make that better. Thank you.
Okay. So what's the criteria for tutoring? How do we decide who needs tutoring? Is that based on proficiency scores, grades, or?
iReady scores. So we're currently finalizing our beginning of the year diagnostic. Friday, the window closes. Many of our principals have already looked at the data to identify those, we'll say those bubble students who are right at proficiency or either at level 2 for tier 2 and the top of tier 3. So they'll select those students in addition to select those teachers and then providing personalized support for after school tutoring. In the high school, they're doing both for ELA and math and then also credit recovery as well.
So, thank you for that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sure. My next concern, after looking online and seeing our chronic absenteeism numbers, could you just show us some strategy? I mean, what are your new strategies or what are you currently implementing that you think will help get our kids in the classroom? Because, like I said once before, you can have all the wonderful programs in the world, the best teachers, but if they're not sitting in that classroom every day, they're not going to be able to learn. So where are we with that? I know we have an attendance person, right,
Yeah.
who's supposed to be working on that, but I think we know that it's going to take more than that to get these kids in the classroom. So what are your strategies?
Before you answer that, do you have anything specific to the presentation? Because we have some board members that have something specific to the presentation. So after we finish the presentation discussion, we have some time to navigate that if you like.
What about the chronic absenteeism?
About the presentation that we just had. Do you have any specific questions to that?
So could you explain iReady a little more in detail? I'm not quite there as it what it means when you say iReady. Just a brief overview of what that is.
So
Okay.
iReady is our local platform for our local assessments.
Before you answer that,
I'm sorry.
the board voted and improved on iReady 3 years ago. 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. My question is, Trustee Turpin, is there anything specific to?
Yes, it is specific, and I'm asking these questions because we have a community, we have parents that need to understand what we're talking about. I am not quite. I know we approved it, but we're talking about strategies and we're talking about.
I'm just trying to
programs.
get clarity. So are you saying you don't know what iReady is?
No, that's not what I said. I'm asking a question for the community, for the parents.
Okay, then
That's all I'm asking,
Okay.
and I have a right to ask that question.
you can ask the question, but as the governing body of this particular dais, I want to stay specific to what we're talking about. So
We're talking about iReady. That is
Okay.
specific to what she's talking.
So do you
about.
understand what iReady is as a board member?
I'm asking for iReady for the community.
Okay, and then we will get to that. So I won't argue. VP.
I'm not arguing. I'm just stating my position, and I have a right to
Okay,
ask
and that's
questions.
fine. Thank you, ma'am. VP.
You're
Go
welcome.
ahead.
Every day.
Alrighty. As far as the testing and trying to bring our kids back up, I know that we had a dip during pandemic on certain levels. Are we still addressing a lot of the wraparound supports for our children because we know some of the home lives are?
Yes. So we do have, we're meeting the whole child as it relates to our wraparound and mental health support. We have added additional at-risk social workers. We have added the mindfulness in all of our schools with the 4 square breathing, just to help them to understand the check-ins with surveys when they come in and to assess them and survey their perceptional data around how they're feeling about school. Do they feel like they have a sense of belonging? To address the attendance piece, that's all part of that whole child. And so we know where we are with our academics, and we know that there has been some regression, and it was expected. And so we've seen this across the state of Michigan. We are now at the last and on states with education. And so as the state, there are some things that they know they must do to support districts that look like us because we come with different challenges. And so when we talk about resources and what are the next steps, one thing that we have found with meeting with the Michigan Department of Ed and being a part of a blueprint systems as well as partnerships is that what we are doing is working because we've seen the gains. We have not seen the gains that we want to see, but the needle is moving. So we don't change every year. It's not that we are chasing a rabbit, a carrot, and we're going down a rabbit hole, not having direction. We have a clear direction and a strategy that we are specifically utilizing that have shown results. And so most of all of these resources are new that we've just brought to the district, such as iReady 2 years ago, where we are specifically honing into areas of deficit and can address that with students. We're just able to start doing after-school tutoring because we're coming out of a pandemic. So just for the community's sake, we're doing all of the next steps based off of what we've seen has worked, and those that we see gaps in, those are the things that Dr. Eccles spoke on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And one last thing, you had mentioned the tutoring. We had
Mhm.
mentioned tutoring. Are our tutors from within, or our tutors are coming in after? Where are we broaching? Where are we getting our tutors from?
Most of the tutors are teachers that are currently in the district, and so they provide the support around the after-school tutoring.
Okay, so our tutors are familiar with our children from within.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Before I get to you, Trustee Hannah, because you touched on it briefly, Trustee Turpin brought up, as Ms. Bowman just did, VP Bowman talked about wraparound services, and you touched on the iReady. That was good, so I didn't want to go back to that, but I don't want to leave, because we're in the same vein of absenteeism and our children not being in school, and Trustee Turpin did ask that since we are still consistent, can we stay in that and say, what are we doing as far as to challenge the absenteeism?
So with the board, you did select and did approve for us to have an elementary attendance officer. We did not have that before. So right now she's been going out knocking on doors to see those students who have not returned. Yes, catching those students who have not been consistently or either 2 to 3 days absent, but really getting those students back in who have not returned. Then she's meeting with the principal. Once she meets with the principal to identify those chronically absent students and making the phone calls. We do have an assistant attendance agent at the high school who works for her part-time, and Harrington is currently interviewing for their assistant attendance agent as well.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Trustee Turpin's not here. Okay, Trustee Hannah.
Yeah, thank you. I know when we were talking about the testing, and in the example, it showed if 200 kids were tested, out of the 200 kids, 100 kids were tested. Did I read that correctly? So are we saying that out of our student population, that only 100 of our students were tested?
No, that was just a sample.
Sample, okay.
That was just
All
a
right, good.
sample.
Okay. I just wanted to give a comment because I know this information that you just shared was heavy. I'm sure it was, as you all saw it for the first time, as it is for us now, the board, as well as the community, to see our students represented in that way. I just want to be mindful that, just like Superintendent said, we have been in a pandemic. We're now on the other side of a pandemic. And so we kind of expected a decline to take place because we understand that our students, one, learn best in classroom, but we had to make a pivot and do what was the next best thing. And that was to continue educating them and do it virtually. So not only has the Pontiac School District been witnessed this decline, all of the other schools across the state has witnessed this decline as well. That doesn't change the fact that it is what it is. But I just want to say that we still can't get away from what Superintendent said, and that is we're still making progress, because these numbers that we see on this board, they're not just numbers. These are students. And although some students may have declined, as we've been trending over the previous years, students were progressing. And I think that is what we have to continue to be mindful of. we know the challenges that we're facing in our district. We know the challenges that we experience with our families, within our community. But at the end of the day, we still have a service to provide to each and every one of our students. And this decline, we were already transitioning and making progress to move that up. And I think we have to continue to remember that, and remember those wins just as well as we acknowledge our losses. So we know that this is not where we want to be. This is not where we're going to stay. But we just want to continue to be mindful that all of these interventions that are being put in place, those that we've done before and these that we're continuing to use, are what we know to work, so that we can continue to help move that needle back up and get us to where we want to be. Not where we were, but just to help us to continue to move in the trajectory, to move in our students up. But just being mindful, these are kids. All of these numbers, they represent a child. And to know that if we've done our best and due diligence to help at least one or two of our students, then we know that something is working well. So I just want to say, I thank you for your transparency, because to have to come publicly and share and expose our hand as to what we're dealing with and where we are, I know that it's almost shameful to say that, but we can't be ashamed of our kids. We can't be ashamed of where we are. We just know that this is what it is today, but this is not where we're going to stay. And all of these things that you're putting in place is to help us to move from where we are to where we want to be. So thank you for being transparent and sharing that information with us.
Thank you. Trustee Gross.
Thank you. First question. I noticed within the data, you guys did research and you placed from years 2018 to present. The rationale?
It was to provide trend data, but if you were to go back further in 2017, it would be higher numbers. That's when.
No. My reason, I thought
Mhm.
that there was a specific reasoning on for 4 years, because as my fellow trustee indicated, my concern is that within those 2 years,
Mhm.
we saw COVID.
Correct.
So mine is the next time we obtain data like this,
Mhm.
right? It would include 5 years of.
We can do 5 to 6 years.
You get what I'm saying? Because in order for us to obtain what I want to say, fair
Mhm.
information pertaining to our kids and what we're doing, not to neglect, negate, or get rid of COVID,
Mhm.
but that was a hindrance.
Mhm.
And mine was only to speak on where we are when our kids have been in school outside of COVID for a specific amount of time, not to cherry pick or only pick a specific information to put out there. That was not my purpose.
Right.
No, because we went through these same numbers last year because of what? COVID.
Mhm.
And we saw a decline because of COVID. So to look at information where our children have been in school longer since COVID,
Mhm.
it's what I was talking about. Not to not be fair and put the information out there so our parents don't know. That's not my intent.
Right.
Mine is, if you want to continue to see the continuous numbers because of COVID, look at them online. They're there.
Mhm.
But I'm talking about being fair with our kids' progress based on the years they've been in since COVID, because COVID just didn't affect children, it affected teachers
Yes.
and administrators. That's my point of making that statement.
It's very true.
That's number one. And so to also tag on to what Trustee Hannah asked, is that I think where she was going with the 95% testing
Mhm.
in the future, what you just discussed and what you discussed that pertains to attendance, we have things put in place
Yes.
to no longer not have the 95% to get to that example of 200 out of 285. That's the point I was making. The things that we put in place to assure that 95% of our kids are being tested next time.
And we have done a really great job with testing 95%
That's all I'm
over the
saying.
years.
I'm not
We have
cherry-picking.
not had a problem with not testing 95% of our students. So the largest challenge that I have witnessed was at the high school level, and they literally would get in their cars and drive and pick up students to, come back to school and assess. So, the district has done a great job with making sure that we meet that 95%.
That's all I want to hear, because
Mhm.
they're just to let the community know
Right.
that there are things in place for us to, from this point forward, to avoid not having the 95%.
Right.
and
Absolutely.
utilizing that example that was given, because the statement was made, yeah, we're going to get in trouble for that too.
Mhm.
Okay, so with that being said, we will move on, and if the community, those who wish to join us in our efforts in educating our kids, make sure you got your volunteer form in. Make sure you're going to your neighborhood school. We all know where they're at. They're still open. And I'm grateful for our teachers and community who survived COVID to make sure that our kids can even be back inside the classroom. We're not using COVID as the great, excuse or whatever you call it. It was a challenge. We met it head on, and our kids are showing some improvement, but we need some continued support. So great job, Dr. Eccles, staff. You're very professional. You are very hardworking. We clearly understand what you're doing. But as we move forward, please understand, and I've talked about this in our district before, you're going to always have individuals assist getting that boat from Africa to America. You're going to always have that person. We call them tour guides. They put them on the boat and they help them get off. They look just like our students. So we're going to move down to discussion item, additional security for bond projects, superintendent.
So I will have Daryl to give the backdrop of this, but I want to share with the community. The district has done their due diligence to ensure that we are good shepherds of the bond dollars and projects that we are putting in place for renovating our buildings for our students. Unfortunately, we have experienced a lot of vandalism during these projects, where there have been break-ins and things have been stolen, right down to some of the contractors' tools. And so it's unfortunate because this not only hinders the project moving forward to get our students back into a space that's conducive for learning, but it also is costly to the district to the tune of right now up to $60,000. And so in order to make sure that our buildings are protected, we are recommending that we add some additional security for the sites that are being under construction, so that we do not have this type of vandalism and theft going on in our buildings that we're trying to prepare for our students. It's just simply not right. And I hope if you see something in the community, please contact the local police, sheriff's department, call the school, do something. But if you know of any of these break-ins, please notify someone so that it can be immediately addressed, because these are taxpayers' dollars that we receive for the children. And so we want that to make sure it counts every single dime to renovate and do what we said we were going to do for the district. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Daryl to talk about the security that's needed.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. We don't have much to add after that. She laid the groundwork,
Signed that
but
up, didn't you?
yeah, due to the recent nighttime break-ins at Pontiac High School, Pontiac Middle School, and WHRC, where thousands of dollars worth of equipment and school property has been stolen or damaged, the district is requesting approval of 2 armed security guards, one at the Pontiac High School and Middle School complex, and one across the street at WHRC, to patrol the properties between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. The administration has received the attached proposal and contract from Securitech Guard Services to provide the services at a cost not to exceed $110,000, starting tonight at 11 p.m., October 10th, and this contract will go through March 10th of 2023. It's a 5-month contract. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education approve the Securitech Guard Services contract from October 10th, 2022 through March 10th of 2023 in an amount not to exceed $110,000. And this is for, I think, just to be clear, 2 security guards that are armed and 1 car at each location. So. That's it.
Okay. Any questions? Trustee Terry?
Just real quick, looking this over, was there a funding source or account number assigned for this one?
Yes.
It was blank.
That was I think that was an error on my office's part. I know she got the account number. I think it just did not go onto the bear. Yeah, it's a bond account.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know. I saw a version with it on it because I insisted we have it. It just apparently you got the wrong one, but everything else is the same.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. They will report to and sign in with whom? My assumption would be Chief at that time.
Chief Gross. Yes.
Chief Gross, I'm sorry. Chief Gross, who's our person over security at that particular point in time. So they'll check in with him without, do they have any like capabilities of video surveillance?
We have
Like,
our
do they-
own, yes, video surveillance, and we will be using our portable one for the sites as well as our cameras around the district, which has helped facilitate a lot of the individuals who have done the inappropriate acts. Our chief of security and his staff were able to assist the sheriff's department in identifying the individuals. So we have done that on numerous occasions, and they have actually been able to catch the individuals.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's something you just told me who has access. So I'm fine with that. Okay. We're going to move down to, thank you for that. Action item approval of additional security for bond projects. Need a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
Support.
So moved by trustee Bowman, supported by trustee David Smith. Questions, comments, concerns to the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Turpin.
Yes.
Vice President Bowman.
Yes.
Treasurer David Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
And I'm voting yes. Sir, that motion passed 7-0.
All right, thank you. We're going to move down to regular working agenda, Board of Education discussion. If you will, Mr. Secretary, sir, there's a
Yes.
resolution for
I
Mr.
have that.
DeBray Newman. If you can read that resolution at this time, I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Got it. Good evening.
Good evening.
The School District of the City of Pontiac Board of Education Resolution honoring the life of DuBray Newman. Whereas the School District of the City of Pontiac has been privileged to have numerous individuals serve the students, staff, and families of the school district through the decades, and who have left an incredible impression on our community. Whereas DuBray Newman was a Pontiac School District Board of Education trustee for 2 years. Whereas he resided in Pontiac for 25 years and served the community of Pontiac as a community activist. Whereas he was an ordained minister who provided ministerial support to staff of New Birth International Church under the leadership of Bishop Teresa Lee. Whereas Mr. Newman passed away on September 18th in the year 2022, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education for the School District of the City of Pontiac hereby celebrates the life and career of Mr. DuBray Newman and mourns his passing, which is a profound loss for our Pontiac School District community. And further resolve that we extend our deepest sympathies to his family, friends, colleagues, and neighbors. And further resolve, the Board of Education expresses our deepest gratitude for his years of service to our community and to the thousands of people whose lives he enriched. Sincerely, the entire Board of Education, adopted on this day, October 10th, in the year 2022.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Comments from the board at this time?
God bless.
Hear any? Gross? Trustee Turpin.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to serve with Mr. Newman, and I want to extend my sincere condolences to his family. He served well, and is just sorry to hear of his passing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Mr. Newman will be truly missed. His homegoing service was today. So if you know of his family, they would surely need some comforting during this time. We want to acknowledge this as a resolution from the Board of Education, not just because he served here, but he was a part of his family, and we want his legacy to continue in the books long after we're gone, that somebody can look into the books to see that, hey, Trustee Newman served at the Pontiac School District and he served as well. Need a motion on the floor to accept the resolution.
So moved.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Davis Smith, supported by Trustee Bowman. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin, Vice President Bowman,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith,
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes, and Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Sir, the passage of the resolution passed 7-0.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to move down to General Counsel and Human Resource items. The CT Educational Specialist, Superintendent, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. At this time, I will defer to Ms. Kellum.
Thank you, Superintendent. Good evening, President Garrett, Board of Trustees,
Good evening.
staff, and community members. I'm bringing forth to you tonight a new position in job description for Career Technical Education Specialist, CTE. The Career Technical Education Specialist position shall be a newly created full-time, non-union position with benefits. The responsibilities of this position will be outlined by the Office of Human Resources in collaboration with the CTE supervisor. The position will report to the CTE supervisor and will be charged with recruiting and supporting students and their families with career pathway programs to prepare students to a viable career post-high school graduation. The funding source is K-12 Career Readiness Grant. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education approve the job description of Career Technical Education Specialist from August 1 through June 30 of each year. This position will not work during the month of July. And the job description, the hourly wage will be $17 an hour.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Okay. That means them packets are going out on time. Thank you, Ms. Wright. We got no questions. Thank you, Ms. Callum. We're going to move down to the third amended professional ground service leasing agreement. Superintendent.
Thank you. I will defer to Mr. Seegers. Attorney Seegers.
Good evening again. The professional group, TPG, is the parent affiliate company of Professional Ground Services LLC, which is currently the ground services company for the Pontiac School District. In January of 2019, the district and Professional Ground Services entered into the attached agreement for rental of space at the Fell Center, located at 650 North Saginaw in Pontiac, Michigan. This rental space includes space inside the Fell Center along with land space at 650 North Saginaw. The property has been used by PGS for the purposes of storing, dispatching, and maintaining its vehicles, machines, and equipment, for storing road salt for ice and snow removal purposes, maintaining above-ground fuel storage tanks in a confined area of the property, and for any other lawful purpose as approved in writing by the district. The original lease provides for monthly rent for the property designated for the lessee's use shall be $4,200 for months 1 through 12, $4,284 for months 13 through 24, $4,369.68 for months 25 through 36, $4,457.07 for months 37 through 48, and $4,546.21 for months 49 through 60, which is the optional second 1-year extension. The first 1-year extension, months 37 through 48, will end soon, and the parties, as the district and PGS, desire to exercise the second 1-year extension option, months 49 through 60, set forth in Section 1.6 of the 2019 lease agreement. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education approve the second one-year extension agreement attached for space at the Fell Center to Professional Ground Services, LLC, in the amount designated above.
Okay. Any questions from the board? With that new facility, that new fail-safe center, just understand they're getting a deal. Just thought I'd put that out there. All right, we're going to move down to action item A, approval of career technical education specialist. Need a motion, please.
So move.
Support.
So moved by trustee Bowman, vice president, and supported by secretary Gross. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Trustee Turpin.
Yes.
VP Bowman.
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah
Yes.
and Trustee Terry.
Yes.
Sir, that position was passed 7-0.
All right. Thank you. Want to move down to approval of the Third Amendment Professional Ground Service Lease Agreement. Motion on the floor, please.
So move.
So moved by trustee Bowman.
Support.
Supported by trustee Davis Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. VP Bowman.
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
And Trustee Turpin.
Yes.
Sir, that motion passed 7-0.
All right. Thank you. We're going to move down to curriculum and instructions, discussion item, Pontiac High School and ITA iReady subscription. This is why I wanted to change the flow of the meeting, because we were going to talk about iReady as we got further down here. We're going to turn the meeting over to the superintendent.
Thank you. At this time, I will defer to Dr. Eccles.
Good evening again. Administration is bringing before you for both discussion and action the purchase over $26,046 for curriculum associates. On June 27, 2022, the board approved the expense of $185,679 for curriculum and associates, also known as iReady, as part of our fiscal year 2023 curriculum and professional development bear. Since then, our team made a few changes based upon the needs at ITA and Pontiac High School, which increased the expense to $216,779.50, a total increase of $31,150. The funding source, both Title I and state grants. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education approve the increase for curriculum and associates from $185,679 to $216,779.50, a total increase of $31,150.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, I have a few. So, iReady, we went into that subscription 2 years ago. That was for our K through 8th graders.
We're currently now at K through 8, yes.
Currently now K through 8.
Yes.
And so now we want to use that same formula or platform for both our high schools.
Yes, for our 9th grade students.
Thank you so much for bringing this recommendation. We don't have a magic wand, but I tell you, just studying and looking at how iReady has helped us to individualize, specific need to a student once you get that information. And that's how we help our students, right? And so I appreciate that. We're going to move down to, no, we have to approve it.
That's correct.
Okay. Action item, approval of the Pontiac High School ITA iReady subscription.
So moved.
So moved by
Support.
trustee Hannah, supported by trustee David Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns to the approval, to the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah.
Yes.
Trustee Terry.
Yes.
Trustee Turpin.
Yes.
And VP Bowman.
Yes.
Sir, that passed 7-0.
All right, thank you. We're going to move down to operations maintenance items. Need a motion on the floor to close the meeting. Oh, sorry. My bad. I'm sorry, Mr. England.
Left the room.
I didn't want to spend. We were spending a lot of money here. I was getting a little nervous. Sorry. I'm sorry. My apologies. Superintendent, if we can talk about discussion items under the Pontiac Middle School computer lab furniture for Mr. England. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. England.
I should have expected that. Good evening.
I haven't seen you in a while, man. It was like I couldn't pass that up.
Good evening, board, community,
evening,
and
sir.
administration. Tonight is discussion and action for some computer lab furniture for the Pontiac Middle School. Due to the 2020 bond passage, the school district has a great opportunity to enhance our classrooms and our learning environment. To that end, we would like to propose for the new lab furniture at Pontiac Middle School. This will be in C1, A1, A21, in both sides of the media center, which are going to be turned into computer labs. This current bond furniture is currently at the high school. The facilities, technology, and curriculum department has time to utilize this. We've had this furniture in place since 2019 in B10 and 11, which we're currently calling our swing space. We believe that this furniture also speaks to the durability that we've had that in for several years. This also has cabling that goes throughout it, so these will be uniform. You'll see some specifications in your packet for layouts and different things. These are not movable furniture. They're also wired with Cat5 and also wireless internet. So the district has received cooperative pricing from ISCG in the amount of $99,319.84. And this is including installation. Our goal is to have this in place when the school reopens.
Thank you. Any questions around the Pontiac Middle School computer lab furniture?
One question.
Go ahead, sir.
And this protects both items. Good warranties?
Yes, we've had really good luck with this. I know Jeff Maas and Bill Holcomb have been very involved in this, along with Mr. Morrison and Dr. Eccles.
Good. Thank you.
That's not a bad question. I mean, the stuff that's just been
Right.
people trying to fill up these schools with not.
Yeah.
It's not. You know, you only bring out so many trees.
We had a change from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, we're gonna move down to cafeteria tables for Pontiac Middle School
Mr. England.
superintendent.
Yes, again, this is a discussion and action for approval of the lunch tables for the Pontiac Middle School. Again, this is part of the reopening. The way we've been purchasing what we call FF&E in the bond is as the buildings get renovated, we bring in the furniture so that we don't have to move it multiple times. Again, these are tables that are in existing schools right now. We've had very good luck with them. They're very lightweight. The custodians have an easy time doing them. They're not your conventional ones that used to be in the walls years ago that have a lot of pinch points and are very heavy. These are very easy for the custodians and the staff to move around. So we're glad to bring these back into use again. We're requesting approval to purchase 25 of these for the Pontiac Middle School. Again, as you know, most of our tables are very outdated, and we're looking forward to moving forward with this project. It is the recommendation of the administration for the Board of Education to approve the purchase of 25 new lunch tables at the Pontiac Middle School through Interior Environments at a cost not to exceed $47,820.50. Again, our goal is to get these in place before the students return to those areas.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions to the cafeteria tables for the Pontiac Middle School? Go ahead, sir.
Okay. And these tables, you say, which is great, can be moved at ease, thus allowing cleaning to take place and to be moved. Are the floors that they're going to be placed on terrazzo, the material of the floors, so they're waxed?
No, we have went to an LVT. It's called Luxury Vinyl Town. It's a non-waxing. We save about $30,000 a year not having to wax the floors.
And I asked that question because that's important, because the financial cost of keeping those floors clean together, especially with the continuous removal of tables. So people say, why is Gross acting about the floors? That's important because it's
It
a
is.
cost saver.
It is.
It takes a lot of time also.
Oh,
And
yeah,
with
I know.
our, enhancing the summer programs and keeping the schools open longer, it's very challenging.
I
for us
was
to
a
work with.
student maintenance man, and I had the opportunity to learn the ins and outs of cleaning floors and costs. So that's why I'm interested.
Man, you was bad.
I was, man, I had to make money, man. I was a hustler.
All right, thank you, sir. We're gonna move down to action items. Approval of Pontiac Middle School computer lab furniture. Need a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
So moved
Support.
by Trustee Gore, supported by the Vice President. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call, please.
President Garrett,
Yes.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin, Vice President Bowman,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith.
Yes.
Pass 7-0, sir.
All right, thank you. Going to move down to action item approval of cafeteria tables for Pontiac Middle School. Need a motion, please.
So move.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Davis Smith, supported by Trustee Gross. Questions, comments, or concerns to the motion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
I'm voting yes. Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin, VP Bowman,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith,
Yes.
and President Garrett.
Yes.
Sir, that passed 7-0.
All right, thank you. Move down, communications, petitions, and delegations, Vice President.
There are none.
There aren't any. Okay. Move down to board comments and announcements. Trustee Turpin.
It's so important that our students be taught.
Your mic.
It really, really is. And I went to a conference years ago, and the gentleman by Alfred Tatum autographed a book, said, "Read for your life." And in that book, it talked about the miseducation of children and how he himself, when he got to college, he was reading on a middle school level. And so we just want to make sure my heart goes out to the kids who are struggling. We just want to make sure that they have every opportunity to be successful. But we know if they can't read, you can't even get on a bus in a city and read the bus sign. You can't read your medication label. You can't do a lot of things if you can't read. And so I'm always concerned about, not that I'm not concerned about math, but reading also goes along with math. So I hope and pray, even when I'm off the board, that we'll have higher expectations for our kids because they will achieve what we expect of them. Our goals and our priorities are geared toward what we expect them to learn. So with that being said, I wish everybody a good evening.
Thank you. Trustee Hannah.
Thank you. I don't have a lot today.
That's okay. That's fine.
But I wanted to say, first of all, congratulations again to you, Board President, for representing the school board district, for representing the school board, but for also making sure that Pontiac is seen on a high level, and you've given us some positive visibility. So thank you again for congratulations to you for your promotion in that area. I wanted to also acknowledge Count Day. It was last week on Wednesday, and I am happy to hear that as a district, we had 92% of our students in attendance. So hats off to every partner. Yes, for every partner and every person that played a part in making that happen and making that day a success for our students. Continued prayers to the family of Mr. Newman. And also, I am happy that we have the resources to upgrade our schools with such things as the computer lab as well as the cafeteria tables. It might not seem like much, but it is a lot for our school district. So thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Hey, Mrs. Terry, how you doing? Trustee Terry, how you doing, sir? All right, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir. Just want to make sure I ain't see no other hat down there. I'm sorry. Sorry,
No,
got a little
I
thing
don't
going
have
on.
it
Sorry.
today. But congratulations again.
Thank you, sir.
For all your accomplishments, the things you do for the city of Pontiac, the recognition and everything you bring. It's awesome to be here working with you, be working with this whole board as a whole as we continue to push the Pontiac School District in higher locations and around the world and becoming national. So that's a big deal, and I'm looking forward to continue that growth. I want to say also condolences also to Mr. Newman for the loss, to the family and the community, friends and family as well. Keeping them in prayer as they go through that time. I know it can be challenging at moments. In addition, next I want to say, as Nisha already mentioned, Trustee Hannah already mentioned, as far as the upgrades for the schools, it's awesome to see that fruition, I guess you want to say now. It's been so long for us to see that happening, and now to actually see that happening for our students, and also for the teachers as well. So congratulations also for that as we continue to make those strides and make those successful changes for our school district. Other than that, I think they've touched base on everything else. So that's it for now.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Treasurer David Smith, how you doing, man?
Hello, Gil. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say I'm sending my condolences to the Newman's family as well. Congratulations, Vice President. Also, thank you, trustees, for homecoming. I wasn't there to continue to help, so I thank you guys for all your support and volunteering. Something that looking at the charts and things like that we had tonight and all the comments that we had, for me, the best thing that I can say is we need parent participation. And our parents, it's a must that you are involved in your child's education. Of course, they get their learning from school, but we have to educate them further at home, helping with homework, giving them extra work to do while they're at home on Saturdays and Sundays. And to me, that's the only way that our kids can be successful. Personally, there was a time where my son had heard negative things, and that made him feel insecure about his education, so he didn't go to school for a whole year. I didn't force him. When he was ready, he went, and he's been on the dean's list ever since. And I just think that is from me being on him at school, helping him with his classwork and things like that. Now he has now he feels that he can succeed, and he is succeeding, and he's tutoring. So I think that parent participation is a must, and to build our kids, to make them feel that like they're not inadequate, because a lot of times a lot of people, not just from the outsources, and actually when we go to these conferences around Michigan, they speak well about Pontiac, but our own city always have something negative, and our children hear it, and so they feel that I go to this school and they don't have the confidence that other kids have, but they are being educated. But it's still, we have to start. It starts at home. And so I'm just asking that we help with our children, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and just community reach out and help kids when you see them in need. That's it. Good night.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. Secretary Gross, how you doing, sir?
Sir, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Got a little go green, go white issue, huh?
The power.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I'm going to speak to specific things in life. First of all, I too want to commend what a wonderful day we had in night at our homecoming. So I'd like to commend our home committee head, Ms. Trustee Hannah, for the fine job that she did in the committee. I'm surprised you didn't speak of the committee members, including the superintendent and myself every now and then. and other members. And I didn't have the opportunity to announce our partners, but we'll get that list and give a formal thank you, right, Madam Superintendent?
Yes.
To our partners and what they did to help our children that evening. And you know, we had a first. We had a brother and sister win king and queen.
Mhm.
What a fantastic time. Now, the game, I will not talk about, but you know what? We're going to be all right.
Mhm.
We're going to be all right. And that leads into my final comments. I guess as I mature, because I things get old, like cars and money, and they fade away. We get older, and we go like fine wine and music. We've never forgotten. And I guess during my time of maturing, I've learned to see life a little bit differently. I'm more into the power of positive thinking. And one of the initial steps in the power of positive thinking is to avoid beating yourself up or making yourself believe in certain things that are negative in your life. Although you go through specific things on your job, at home, and they may physically drain you. But if you continue to tell yourself how tired you are, you begin to only believe how tired you are. But in the step of power of positive thinking, no matter how you feel physically, mentally, you continue to tell yourself how better you can do. What are the solutions? What are the positive things that I can do to alleviate, to eliminate this tiredness, this stress, this pressure? I don't believe in the word trying, because the word trying means you will continue to do. If you try, you'll never succeed because you're always trying. I'm doing. I'm accomplishing. I'm making it. Yes, we have to be open and honest on what it is that we're doing. I guess I'm at the point now where I've seen the bad, I've seen and heard the bad. And I'm at the point now where I'm ready to deal with the solutions, the power of positive thinking. Although we're here, positive thinking, we're not where we were before. What does it take for us to get there? And it takes more than just one when it comes to a school district, because this school district is not founded by one person. It takes all of us. We always speak this saying, it takes a village, right? But within that village, there's always a humongous amount of people that are saying what we're not doing compared to those who say what we're capable of and what we should be doing. I guess that's where I am in life. I see the glass half full, never half empty, and I have the ability to fill it up. That's where I want us to be, because we're near there. Because trust me, there's witnesses on this board. We've been through times that we'll never forget, right? But it's teaching us to where we never want to be again.
Mm.
That's why I make the statements that I make. Not that I'm blind to reality. I understand the numbers. I see that. But I know our ability, what we can do to ensure that our kids will, not can, but will do better. The power of positive thinking. Let's hear that more. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Vice President, how you doing, man?
I'm great. And
All
yourself?
right.
To touch on more of what Secretary Gross said, you know, the more we focus on something, the more it appears in our lives. So if we continue to focus on the things that we're not doing, that's where we'll be. So I just hope that we can continue to focus on where we want to go, what we want to do, where we are. We are continuously rising. We know where we are, but we know where we want to be. So as always, I am proud to serve on this board. I am proud of the work that we do. Thank you, Superintendent, and your staff, Dr. Eccles, Mr. Graham, Ms. Kellum. Thank you all for what you do. Parents in the community, continue to show up. Parents, we need you. Community members, please volunteer. We need you too. So thank you so much for what you do in the community. Let's all continue to press forward. We are the Phoenix.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Wright about to hit me with that clock. Listen, I am very grateful and honored. Like I said in the beginning, I don't sit where I sit if you don't assist where you assist and do what you do. I'm going to take Pontiac with me everywhere I go. Detroit raised me, Pontiac grown me. The passion that you hear me speak with, the truth that you hear me speak with, are not just truths because you read them in the book, are not just truths because that's just what it is. I just happened to start my serving of people in my early 20s. So the fruit in which that I am passionate about, that I see, and she'll choke me out later, but Isha Branner, who is about to open up another center on November 5th, and it's a center dedicated to youth. Isha Branner was a student at Pontiac Central High School. Isha Branner is now sitting in the audience, had no idea I was going to do this, but she gave up her time because she knows what she needed and she created it. So she created a parent resource center for parents. Now she's doing one for students. I put into that. I made sure I protected that. Now, it was a village, but I'm just talking about my piece. And when I look at her and I look at what she does and I look who she is as a woman, them little 1%, that's the 1% that you see sitting out there. So everybody in the room, I want you to focus on the 1%. Don't talk to me about no expectations. You have no clue about what an expectation is because you don't speak the language we speak and you're not from where we from. My expectation every time I wake up is 120%. And I guarantee, I don't care how long you've been sitting on this board, you will never match that. Now I'm gonna talk my talk for about 3 minutes. What we will do and what we will continue to do, like I did in the beginning of this meeting, we will not browbeat our babies. We will not shame them into what they are and who they not and where they come from. You don't like it? Bye. I'm very clear and open about who and what I am and about what I'm protecting. I'm not passive aggressive. That's not why I'm here. That's not why God has me here. Take it up with him. You got a problem with me? Take it up with God. I didn't ask for this assignment, but I accepted it and I'm going to carry it out. I'm going to see us continue to win. There are more Isha Branners out there. I'm sitting at a table full of Pontiac Central and Pontiac Northern graduates. Have you lost your mind in thinking that we're not great? Have you lost your mind in thinking that we're not accepted about who we are? What we do? We paid almost $1 million for some of the brilliant minds in education that you're going to ever see in your life. And a president just got appointed to a national board level off the information that they gave me for the past 20 years. So don't ask me about somebody else preaching somewhere else. Talk to the people that's in this room because that's the people who have been doing it. I can prove it. We want to talk about numbers. We want to talk about data. It wasn't until this board started to sustain itself and put itself in a neutral position to the point of being a board where our administration was able to move. We have board members destroying personal people's lives. I came on this board, shut you down. Got the audacity to talk about expectation, got the audacity to talk about who we are and what we not and what we're not doing. We're going to speak some truth. And the truth is this board didn't handle his business when it needed to handle his business to make sure that the administration was clear enough to get it down to the classrooms so we can build trust in the community. Talk to me about Pontiac. I'm a police officer. 25 years here, did dual roles. You ain't never had nobody die in your arms. You ain't never had nobody, a kid lose their last breath in their arms because you failed to be a board trustee and bring the proper information. And we're going to talk about a 5-minute presentation? How dare you? Never, ever, ever can anybody come anywhere, any place on the planet and downgrade my kids and my babies. Never would I allow you to do it. I don't care who you are, where you stand, what your title is, and what your name. I got more titles and experience. It's crazy. Degrees, whatever. Bring it. Bring it. Bring it every week. I'm here for it. We here for it. And now this nation is going to know about what we do in Pontiac and how we do it and how we move. And I invite anybody. And it's just not a Black community. So get off that too. I got people who, brothers and sisters who, white, Black, blue, green, white folks who help, Hispanic people who help, Asian, Hmong, Arabic, and Pontiac community. You got the audacity to sit up here. Or you got somebody that send me a coward email with a blank face on it, trying to get information to continue your rhetoric. Nah. We are Pontiac. We have us, and us is inclusive to everybody. I'm a child of God. I'm a Christian. I believe in the flipping table over Jesus. You can keep the passive aggressive. But you will not. Nobody ever will come as long as I'm sitting on this dais, president, wherever I'm sitting. And Trustee Craft, thank you for showing up because I know, and I said it trusty because all we got to do is make the vote. But I appreciate you showing up and dedicated and being here because you want to be here. You don't have to show up. There's people showing up every single day. That 92% is our babies showing up every single day, walking, whatever they got to do to get into the school. This board, I'm going to ask you on our next board governance. I've been promised some information from attorneys about excuses about what trustees have done. I want my information. I want my information at the next board governance. And if I don't have it that week, I'm taking it a step further. Protect my babies every day. Don't you ever forget it. Need a motion on the floor to adjourn, please.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Vice President Bowman, supported by Trustee Davis Smith. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Hannah,
Yes.
Trustee Terry,
Yes.
Trustee Turpin. VP Bowman,
Yes.
Treasurer Davis Smith,
Yes.
President Garrett.
Yes.
I'm voting yes, sir. Meeting adjourned. What time?
We're going out of here at 7:59.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Those at home, just leave the comments. I'm going to reply. Have a good day.
About the consent?